In the words of Kyle Lepore. So, dude, what is going on, guys? You're listening to the Realist Podcast. I am Blake Carter, joined by Kyle Lepore, and welcome to Keeping It Real with Blake and Kyle. And today we actually have an interesting show. We didn't do this last week. If you guys are wondering why we didn't do it last week, watch the update video. That's all I want to say. Just watch the little update video, rant video I made, and that's really all you need to do. So, first, big news. I mean, a big week. Kyle, how was your week? A lot of stuff happening, obviously, but how was it?
Yeah, my week was pretty good. Just been looking at all this wrestling news, and there's a lot going on here. There's really, there's not a lot of like things like I want to say in like a number way, but like in a big way, there's a few things that are pretty huge that I really can't wait to talk about.
Yeah, and then, I want to say this before we start. In the past month, we have gained, we started off March with 3 subscribers, and then we've gained so many since March. It's 18. We have now 18 subscribers, and from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you to everyone that has subscribed to us because, this was something that we just enjoy doing. This is something, you know, we really don't try to. I mean, it's basically just us having a good time and talking wrestling. That's all this is. I'm sorry if you're hearing a bunch of noise on the microphone. Um, so from the bottom of my heart, I'll let Kyle speak for himself. Thank you guys very much for listening to us every week and listening to us be goofy. You're about to hear some more microphone noises. Sorry again. But yeah, thank you guys very much. It's something that Chris, Chaos, and myself started back in September on Mixler, and we moved to YouTube in February, and it was things started really slow. I remember there were certain points where I'm like, man, I just don't want to do this anymore. Microphone noises once again, because I'm trying to get the setting, like everything right. I don't want to redo this, so you guys have to deal with it. Again, thank you guys, Kyle. I mean, I'll speak for him. He thank you from both of us because
Yeah,
we're about to
so,
get the same thing.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
let's start this off. We're about to hit 20 subscribers, and we're in the second episode of Keeping It Real, Blake and Kyle. Obviously, the big news or the big elephant in the room that's been this past week has been the brand split that has been announced. And SmackDown versus Raw will be a thing once again. So, to anyone that does not know, we will now have a brand split. What is a brand split? Okay, to the people that do not know, a brand split will basically mean there will be 2 rosters. One roster will be on Raw, one roster will be on SmackDown. And basically, you won't see, let's say if John Cena is on SmackDown, you will not see him on Raw. There will be rare occasions you'll see him on Raw. There will be 2 belts, and more than likely we're going to see separate championships. So, we're going to probably see the World Heavyweight Championship belt back. So, Kyle, before I just start bantering and just going back and forth with myself, what are your thoughts on the brand split?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we had before. Yeah, in case, like you said, you don't know what brand split is, which, like Blake explained before, it's like basically like we had before in WWE, where we had Raw was its own show and SmackDown was its own show. We had plenty of GMs running it, guest GMs, all that kind of thing. We had the draft that was there for a while. We had the WWE Championship was on Raw, and the World Heavyweight Championship was on SmackDown. The U.S. title was on SmackDown. The IC title was on Raw. What? What are you gonna say?
Nothing.
Are you sure? Okay. Well, we had different tag team titles, all that kind of stuff. So it was. I really like it. I really enjoy. I love the brands before. I mean, it's been pretty good now having like basically you have anybody doing any show, stuff like that. But I mean, I think the brand split is definitely a great idea. It'll be Shane running one side of it, and then Stephanie running the other one, most likely. And I think it'll be great. I really miss the brand split, so I think, and I'm interested to see them. I do miss it. Yeah, I think it was great,
Wow.
and I want to see. I want to see like what talent goes to what brand.
So before I go, why do you miss it? That's a lot of people aren't happy about the brand split. I've seen a lot of negativity and I've seen a few positive things. What do you miss about the brand split?
Well, one big thing that I miss about it is that you get to see more talent, like in the main event picture. Because right now we have one big world title. We're gonna have like so many guys there. But with the brand split, it's that you could have like a bunch of different guys going for the WWE title and a bunch of different guys going for the world heavyweight title. Plus, you have like Money in the Bank instead of one Money in the Bank ladder match. You have two, and it's also great to see like the draft was awesome. I love that. I love that concept where you would see who would get drafted to what brand kind of thing, who would switch over, what titles would be carried over, or would they lose a title, stuff like that. I always loved it personally. I mean, there's always mixed reviews about it, but me personally, I was always a big fan of it.
Yeah, I think it got boring at one point. At one point, I think it got really boring because I was always a Raw guy.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
watched Raw. That was my. I didn't have SmackDown, or I probably was just too lazy. I wouldn't say lazy. I did not know the channel because, for one, I was really young, so I was a Raw guy. I was never on SmackDown's end. I didn't watch pay-per-views. I didn't do any of that. I was, it was nothing but Raw, Raw, Raw. So, now that I'm able to see being able to watch SmackDown live now, it'll definitely be interesting to see. Again, I'm sorry, I'm not taking two takes, so you guys have to deal with the microphone. So it's going to sound unprofessional for a little bit. So bear with me for a second. I understand the mic noise is probably it's probably what it sounds like.
And you're making it worse by making fun of it, but go on.
So I personally, it's going to be interesting. I thought it, going back and watching the old pay-per-views, I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
But then again, they had the talent for it.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's gonna be the biggest thing if they can make if they could basically balance the shows to where because I mean pretty much forever Raw has been the dominant show, right? So what they really need to do is balance the talent right to where both shows can be equal or at least close. Raw will always be the better show. Yes, we always know that it'll be the more viewed show, that kind of thing. But SmackDown, if you compare the views of both shows, Raw beats SmackDown by a landslide. So they really, if doing this brand split, they really have to put the right talent on each brand to make it divided, make it fair, make it balanced. That will fall if the brand split will succeed or not, depending on what talent goes to which brand.
Are you talking about Raw being a better show even back in the day?
Yeah, even back in the day, for sure.
Really?
Raw. Are you kidding me? Raw was the more viewed show, always.
It might have been the more
Raw's always
viewed
been the
show,
place.
but everyone will go out and say SmackDown was a better show. It was always a
Really?
back and forth. Yeah, it was always back
I
and
don't
forth.
know.
Um, yeah, I strongly believe that at one point SmackDown was a better show than Raw. Paul
Yeah,
Heyman will even say it that it was better than Raw.
yeah. It's like I said. It's really there's always going to be a side where people will say we'll side with Raw as the better show, we'll side with SmackDown as a better show. I don't really know. I mean, I love both shows. I was always a Raw and a SmackDown guy. I didn't really watch one more than the other. But I mean, me personally, I did prefer Raw a little bit more. I was kind of like a fanboy of some of the older talent. Like you saw guys like John Cena when he was more in his prime, kind of thing. So I was a big fan of Raw there. Although he did go to SmackDown for a while, yes.
He
But
started
he
in
got
SmackDown.
he did start as SmackDown, but he went on Raw for a while with the WWE title, ran with that kind of thing. So, and there was a lot of great talent on Raw, and the SmackDown did fall for a bit. They were they were a lot.
It's still there.
Yeah, it's still there.
We also forgot to mention the SmackDown will be going live, moving from Thursdays to Tuesdays. So I think that's something that's kind of has been needed for a long time. It's overdue. It's overdue.
Oh,
I think it's
definitely.
very overdue. I think
Yeah.
SmackDown being live should have happened a very, very long time ago. Which it never happened, but it should have happened a very, very long time ago. So,
Hmm.
I've asked a bunch of people this question, and this is something that I think deserves to really be answered. Number one big question:
Hmm.
who's the face of Raw and who's the face of SmackDown?
Yeah, see, that's
I want you to answer your reason why.
that. I don't know. It depends. I mean, a big factor will be for one thing. I mean, I'm not just saying this because to be a John Cena fan, but it depends what John Cena chooses to do. For one, will he go for the U.S. title or will he go for the World Heavyweight title? Because if John Cena goes for the U.S. title, then he wouldn't really be the face of either company, right? But I could definitely see I could see like Reigns and Rollins kind of splitting and then being the faces easily. They would be two. I mean, we don't like seeing Reigns as a face, yes, but I mean, in reality, we'll probably see Reigns as the face of one and then Rollins as the face of the other. I think that's a strong possibility, just because where they're at now and the popularity of both of them. I mean, Reigns doesn't have much popularity, yes, but the WWE creative team loves him, so I could see him running as face of the company for a while, and then Rollins, the company loves him too. The fans love him, whether they boo him or love him. He always gets a great reaction. So he could definitely be the face of like SmackDown or Raw. I don't know what they choose to do, but I can see them being the faces.
I have one argument to your statement.
Okay.
Seth Rollins turns face, but he just did a promo this past Monday that put him back as a heel.
Yes.
So you would have him come back as a heel and then face turn? Who
No,
goes heel?
Well, I mean, he doesn't have to really. I mean, I would say it'd be Reigns.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, then that defeats the purpose of having Reigns as the face of the Raw, or one or the other. Because if you say, okay, well then you do it on Reigns, then you have a heel as your face. That's not gonna, or the face of the company. That's not gonna happen. Like, I get where you're coming from, but there's just no way. This is.
Well, yeah, I'm
this
just
is,
trying to think like what other guys it could be though.
I can tell you this is how it's gonna go. Raw will be Roman Reigns, and SmackDown will be John Cena. They're not.
If Cena goes for the U.S. title though.
That's the thing.
That's what I'm saying.
At the start he will, but they're going to do a draft.
Mm-hmm.
So, by the way, I've been having an idea, and I want your thought now, and I want everyone's thought in the comments, if anyone wants to comment. How would you like to do a mock draft? We will do the top 10 people that we would like to draft in the Raw and SmackDown draft when it happens. How would you like to do that? We'll do 10 picks instead of doing the whole roster.
That'd be great. I would love to do that.
All right. So we got that out of the way. John Cena will be the face of SmackDown, and he will go for the title. We'll just say it's the world title.
Mm-hmm.
He will go for that. The reason why he will be SmackDown because it doesn't make sense to keep him on Raw. Doesn't at all, because Raw you would have two faces going after each other, because now the whole U.S. title thing's kind of the purpose is kind of defeated, because you're obviously going to see the U.S. title go to SmackDown. The IC title's going to stay on Raw. It's been on Raw since Raw started. So so the U.S. title will basically be the Intercontinental title of SmackDown.
Yeah.
So here's two other great questions. So I've already told you who my top guys for SmackDown and Raw. And if you guys didn't hear, SmackDown, I think John Cena will be. Do you agree with that? Like, can you see that?
No, yeah, that's what I was saying. That's why, that's what I was saying before. If Cena doesn't go for the U.S. title and would go for the world title, which inevitably he would for the brand split, it would be him leading SmackDown and then Roman Reigns leading Raw. That's what I was leaning towards, but if he was going for the U.S. title, then I was going to say somebody else like Rollins or something. But yes, I agree with you.
Okay, and then Roman Reigns being the face of Raw.
Yeah.
I have two questions, and then obviously if you have any questions for me or if you have any thoughts, you go ahead and say it.
Okay.
The first one being, the women's title has grown a lot. There's even talks of the women's title being a Money in the Bank match.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another great topic we can talk about next week. I think this week really needs to be sole around this.
Yeah.
What do you do with the women's title, since as of right now there's only one title? Do you have whoever the women's champion be on both brands, or do you have another belt added?
Well, yeah, that was also rumored with the tag team titles. Would they make it, would they separate the tag team titles again, or would they just leave it as,
that was
still
going to be
one belt?
That was going to be my second question. What do you do with the tag team titles?
Yeah, I would say, I think where the tag team division, women's division is right now, I think it would be fine. I think it would be fine to let them both just be neutral brands where they can go on Raw and SmackDown, be defended on Raw and SmackDown, that kind of thing. I think that'd be best for the company instead of splitting it in two, because you really don't have, in my opinion, I mean, yes, you have a lot of talent, right? But you don't really have enough talent that would be up for the titles. In my opinion.
See, that's where it's kind of because look, it's moving to Tuesday, so that means if you were to do neutral, let's say they have to be on both shows, and that's obviously not true. They don't have to stay on both shows. So let's say they are. That means that you would have to be for one day. You could be in Chicago for Raw, but but the next turn around, you have to be in New Jersey for SmackDown. That's a lot of traveling, and that's a lot to put on someone's body for a belt. And also, you have to wrestle in the house shows. You have to also wrestle in the pay-per-views. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
So, like, this is where it is hard. I think if you're going to continue just having the belt on one brand, then keep the belt on Raw. I think that's what you should do. Just keep it on one show. But if you're going to have it, if you're wanting to have it where it's on both SmackDown and Raw, I think that's dumb. And if you're thinking that, you need to add a belt.
Hmm.
Now, and I understand people are probably saying, "Well, why? This is kind of dumb. You're just adding more belts and more belts and more belts." But we look at all the injuries already. That's
Hmm.
a lot on a person. So that's where I'm coming to with that. It would be interesting to see two belts, but then again, what would you call the second belt?
Well, I mean, what we had before was the World Tag Team titles and the WWE
I'm
Tag Team.
talking about the women.
Oh, we went. I thought you were talking about the tag team still. Well, I mean, before we did the we would the women's championship and the Divas championship.
I
That's how it
wouldn't.
was
No, I
before.
wouldn't do divas. You could have the
Wait, I wouldn't
WWE
either.
Women's
Though.
Championship, or you can have the WWE Women's Championship and the Women's World Heavyweight Championship or World Champion.
That's. I don't know if they would. I don't know if they would do that, but that is a possibility. I don't think they would do that. I
You
think they
can't
would just
call
keep
it
it one
divas.
title.
You cannot
No,
call
no,
it
I'm saying I
divas.
think they would just keep it as one title. I don't
Okay,
think.
so the second question, which you've already kind of, stepped foot on, is the tag championships. In my opinion, there's not enough tag teams.
Exactly. That was my point too.
I think that you should have. No, there's no think. You have to have two tag team belts. You can't have one tag team and then another. You have to have two tag team belts if you're going to brand split.
Yeah, that's. I mean, they. I think they should,
But
but I don't.
but there's the same argument of with a lot of on a tag team.
Yeah, exactly.
I think if you want my opinion, I think every year, which I think would be absolutely amazing and cool. I think every year at Night of Champions, what they should do is have both tag team champions face each other. That you obviously don't lose the belt. No, but that defeats the purpose of the tag team. If you do a pay per view of Raw versus SmackDown, which brand is better,
Hmm.
then I think you should basically have it where, basically the belts go against each other.
Right. Yeah.
None of the belts will be like moved unless it's a belt that's on one. This is a dumb idea. I get it. It's a dumb idea. This is just kind of like
No, I
I
understand.
think it'd be cool to see both tag team champions face each other to see which is better. That would be an
Yeah,
interesting
of
match.
course.
You'd have John Cena. Oh no, I don't want to see that. But you'd have the world champion versus the WWE champion. I don't want to see that.
I love to see like just stop mid sentence, be like, no, I don't want to see that. But here's what would happen.
Do that, and then
Yeah,
U.S. champion versus IC champion. But then that would be like, okay, well, there's really no purpose, so people
yeah.
wouldn't watch. So I think that would be cool. Obviously, it will never happen.
Well, yeah, well, that's what they kind of like. That's what they did with bragging rights a little bit. They kind of did, or Survivor Series too, like the Survivor Series tag team. They did like basically a team from Raw face a team from SmackDown, that kind of thing. Or bragging rights, a lot of it was like Raw guys against, like a Raw guy against a SmackDown guy for literally for bragging rights on who would win there. Like even at WrestleMania, they had like the big battle royal where remember that like they get some guys wore Raw shirts, some guys wore SmackDown shirts, and the winner of that won for their team. So they've done that kind of thing in the past. I would think they would bring it back. I don't know exactly what way, but it's really interesting to think about all the possibilities because this like the possibilities for this are endless. The brand split, there's so many ways they can go with it. Like, will we see more titles? What talent will go where? What'll happen to pay-per-views? Like, honestly, the possibilities are really endless. I don't know. It can go so many different ways, and I love just talking about it. We can go for hours on this because there's so many ways they can go with this.
Um, I personally would love to see Raw bring back the red ropes and
Yes,
SmackDown bring back the blue ropes. I
I
think
could see that maybe.
no, I think it's a must because it kind of splits which ring is whose ring is whose.
Yeah.
I think that's a must. That's just me. That's just me. So here's another great question because internet fans are the ones that are saying this. Is one brand basically to shut up the internet fans or the smart fans, as some other people like to call it, and is the other brand kind of what the WWE wants and what the kids want? Will we see that?
I mean, what do you mean? Do you mean like one brand will kind of have an attitude and one will be more PG kind of thing?
No,
Or
what I mean is like one brand will basically be to please like you and I,
Right.
and the other brand will be to please like the women and the children and the people that want to see Roman Reigns be the top guy.
I don't think so. I think they'll kind of do it like the same kind of thing where both will still be just like same thing that women and children want to see, very little that we want to see. Like basically the same thing we have now. I think we'll still see the same thing out of both brands, even though they're split. I would love that idea though of seeing like basically like one brand be kind of for me and you, and the one brand be more for the women and children. I would love that. I don't foresee them going that way. I think they'll stay with basically what they run with now, but just split it into.
Yeah, this is where it's tough because one thing that they did was, one belt was always bigger than the other. It was always a WWE belt. For a while, it was on SmackDown. For a while, it was on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Like the World Heavyweight Championship was always on Raw since I can remember, and Triple H held it for the majority of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the WWE belt was on SmackDown. For me, I didn't look at it as one belt means more, but now it's obvious. The WWE belt means more than the World Heavyweight Championship.
Right.
So, what do you do about that? Do you like basically put one belt on another, and one brand and swap whenever all this stuff happens? Like whenever you obviously like one guy is bigger than the other.
I mean, that's a possibility. That's definitely a possibility because I do remember that too. Of like what you were saying about how the world heavyweight title was like WWE title was basically always more than the world heavyweight title. But I mean, I don't really think so. I don't know, man. It's it's really hard to say what's gonna happen. I don't know.
Okay. Me personally, I think they should bring back the whole like 1 month is a Raw pay per view, the next month is a SmackDown pay per view.
Yeah, that I would say either that or like you said before, basically pit Raw guys against SmackDown guys to see who's the
No,
better.
no,
Like,
no.
well, why? I mean, I don't know. I just like that
Or,
idea.
or I mean, or if you really want to push, like, not every pay per view is a Raw and SmackDown. You obviously have like the Royal Rumble where they both are,
Hmm.
but each month you get one of those pay per views, or you can throw, which is a lot of work and we won't see. You could throw the possibility of throwing two pay per views in 1 month.
Yeah, I think that would be a thing. I think that'd be interesting to
I
have
don't,
like.
I don't think it, I don't think it should be. I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't think it should happen because
Yeah,
storylines
I
won't.
think that'd be too much.
But I think having a pay per view every month should happen. I like you could have Payback be SmackDowns, Extreme Rules be Raws, Money in the Bank both,
Hmm.
Battleground. What's after Battleground? SummerSlam.
Actually, I can pull that up. After Battleground, it is SummerSlam. Yes.
Yeah, so you have Payback SmackDown, Extreme Rules Raw, then they both get that one, and then you have whatever promotion. I guess you could pull the top promotion or whatever storyline you're wanting to get real deep. Basically, be SummerSlams in a way, in a sense.
Hmm.
So like if Raw has a really good storyline that they really want to go deep in, then have Battleground be SmackDowns and SummerSlam be both, but Raw main events,
Hmm.
and then Night of Champions be both. What's after Night of Champions? Hell in a Cell. You could play that one as both also. Survivor Series both,
Hmm.
TLC both, Royal Rumble both. Like that, it's only a few. It's not like a lot.
Yeah. I would say like they could do a kind of thing where it would be like Raw has a pay per view, then SmackDown, then both, then Raw, SmackDown, then both, kind of like they could do like a pattern kind of thing if they want to make it a little bit like easier too.
You could, but that's the problem though, because the first pay per view of the year is the Royal Rumble. So that's Raw and SmackDown.
Hmm.
Then you have to throw in the possibility of Fastlane, which is right before WrestleMania. That's kind of a problem because you can't put one on Raw or put one on SmackDown unless there's a big controversy. But that would become every year this one has a controversy.
Hmm.
This is where you could bring back the Elimination Chamber.
I think they should. I missed that so much. Everybody, the Elimination Chamber was
I
great.
get why they can't, but like this is where you could bring back the Elimination Chamber
Hmm.
and have the Elimination Chamber be for both, and like it's usually is, it's someone's last opportunity to get to WrestleMania.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
get on for a belt. Like, it's for the championship and it's your last opportunity. And then you have WrestleMania. Then you can throw the first one SmackDown, first the next one's Raw, then the next one's both, then SmackDown, then both. I mean, it's too hard because one brand would be getting more than the other.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go that deep with it. I don't think they're going to go deep enough to where they're going to have like separate pay-per-views, like at least like a couple, even if it's a few times out of the year. I don't think they're going to do separate pay-per-views for each brand. I think they'll still just combine it. I think they'll still
Well,
just do like both of them doing each pay-per-view.
you could do that. Where it's both, but I would like to see one brand get a pay per view in the next, like they used to,
Yeah, I would too, but I don't
but
know if they're
only
going to go
for a
that deep
few,
with it.
only for a few.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll go that deep with it though.
Oh, I mean, I would.
I would
If
too.
you
Yeah,
want my opinion, I would go that deep. Just show. And I think it's a must, in my opinion. I think it's a must.
yeah, I agree with you.
So before we keep moving on, we've kind of hit a lot with the brand split. Be sure to tune in on Monday nights. Monday nights we go live with a Monday night review. Obviously, if you're wanting to hear the past or our last Monday Night Raw review, it's basically up right now. We have 13 views on it. Thank you guys to everyone that's viewed. It was 2 days ago. Usually, last time we did a Monday Night review only had 12, so we've already beaten that. Reels podcast. The Extreme Rules has 18. Prediction show has 18 views, and then somehow the results show, which is usually the one that goes bigger than the others, only has 5. So again, thank you guys so much. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. Monday nights, Monday Night Review. Thursday nights, next big thing. We're working on in-game right now. I'm so used to saying Fridays. And obviously today is Keeping It Real with Blake and Kyle. So also follow us on Twitter and Facebook, twitter.com/Realist Podcast or at Realist Podcast, facebook.com/The Realist Podcast. Or the best thing you could do on Facebook is just search The Realist Podcast. Final thoughts on the brand split. Is there anything else you're wanting to touch on with the brand split?
I mean, we've really touched everything. I just like I'm really hoping that they do like we used to basically go as deep with it as possible. They don't just do like okay, we split the brands, but everything stays the same. I hope we see like I mean, obviously we're gonna see the separate world titles. I would like to see like you said the separate tag team titles, maybe even separate women's. I just want to see them go like as deep with this as possible. That's what I really hope they do, and I hope that they balance the rosters correctly. Because if they don't, then one brand will end up like sinking, and I don't want to see that at all. They could really like shoot themselves in the foot with this if they don't do it right.
My number one thing is I hope NXT does not get destroyed because of the brand split. So let's move on, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, our friend Adam Rose can't stay out of the news. This past week, he was officially released by the WWE. Apparently, it was himself asking for his release. That's actually really good. The guy really does need to get his stuff together. He's had two big, he had a big suspension of the wellness policy, which basically means he failed a drug test. Went out publicly and said that that everything he did was legal. It was nothing illegal. He even had his doctor comment on it, and then as soon as his doctor comments on it, not a couple days later, he gets in trouble for domestic violence. I'm kind of done with this topic. If you want my God honest opinion, with the Adam Rose, just dude, get your stuff together. Hopefully, you can come back and you'll be stronger than ever. Kyle, any final thoughts?
I mean, not much we can really say about it. We've touched this before a while back, and it sucks what he's going through. But it really just it is what it is. It's good that though he's like already booked on like the indie scene kind of thing. He's already doing that. I saw him doing a few things on there, so that's good. But I mean, yeah, he's really got to get his shit together, man. He really does.
Yeah. So in other news, Cody Rhodes / Stardust and Eden, who is his wife, have also been released. Both of them asking for their release. Cody Rhodes is a big story. This is obviously bigger than Eden. Eden pursuing other opportunities, quote unquote. If you want my opinion, it's because she is, her husband left. So, but Stardust, on the other hand, leaving because he's not happy with his role. He wanted to go back to Cody Rhodes. Nobody would let him go back. The creative team would not let him go back. He wanted to be the first Rhodes out of the 3 Rhodes to wrestle in the WWE, being Dusty Rhodes, Goldust, and himself. Goldust is a Rhodes. And basically be the first one to carry the WWE Championship, which a Rhodes has not done. creative would basically brush him off, describing, quote unquote, that some creative would basically hit on divas. So he did ask for his release, and he says that he's going to do what he does best, and that is wrestle. So we could be seeing him in another promotion like ROH, Lucha, New Japan, and sadly, take your hats off and bow your head for respect, TNA.
And there's also things too that he might not be able to use the name Cody Rhodes because that like WWE has that name under contract.
Yeah, he
would that'd be really messed up if they do that.
No, if I'm WWE, I would do that. 100% would do that.
What, dude? That's fucked up though, man.
It might be messed up, but you know what? We're not having a Rhodes in another promotion. No.
I understand that, yeah. And I mean, there's also possibilities maybe like will Goldust stay though? Because I mean,
Goldust has already made it very public that he is staying.
Oh, okay. Because I was worried about that because we already saw like Cody going, then Eden, and now like would Goldust be a possibility? But yeah, I guess not. Then he'd be staying. I don't know if he was going to follow his brother or not.
Yeah, he's made it very, very public that he plans on staying, and even put hashtag the Golden Truth. So.
Who lost on SmackDown? But moving on.
So. There's really not a lot to touch on it than our opinions, and that being, good job. And I applaud Cody Rhodes for doing this because it's BS. The guy works his butt off and doesn't get anywhere. And whenever he goes to creative, they all tell him no. So
yeah, it's bad. I mean, especially like if the guy, I understand like Vince has the final say and that kind of thing. But I mean, if Cody, like not even Cody, if anybody wants to do something else or think it'd be better to do something else, they should be able to be heard out and get a chance to do that. Not just like be forced to kind of do something they don't want to do. Yes, again, like I said, Vince's word is Vince's word, and you have to kind of do what the boss says, kind of thing. But still, it's like if he doesn't want to be Stardust anymore, he shouldn't have to be Stardust anymore. Like let him be Cody again. He would have done great as Cody. I loved Cody Rhodes. I hated Stardust in my opinion. I didn't love it at all.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion on it.
So, Eden, on the other hand, it's kind of like, because Eden, it's kind of whatever with Eden.
Yeah.
She's leaving basically because her husband is leaving, and it'd be like AJ Lee and, CM Punk. So, let's move on to our last topic. Obviously, this isn't these topics aren't huge. We always have one big topic, and we'll put in other topics just to basically catch up everyone's going on in the week. John Cena to return on Memorial Day, this coming up Monday, in 2 days. So, what is John Cena, the man himself, the face of the company, so to speak, going to do? Well, tell you now, he's going after the U.S. title. I've said it for weeks and weeks now, and people are saying, I don't know. He's going to go for the U.S. title. He will beat Rusev quick. That's my final thoughts on it.
Yeah, and especially where the world title picture is now. Rollins and Reigns, they're going to have a feud for a while. AJ might even be thrown back in there, anybody like that. Or we have the Money in the Bank guy might be thrown in that. So there's already, like, the world title picture is basically just like, that's fine for now. You don't have to touch that. Don't throw anybody else in there. Yeah. The perfect thing, like you said, for John Cena to do is go back for the U.S. title, take that from Rusev, and make it mean something again. Because it really, since he lost it, it's literally meant nothing. It hasn't been a world title belt. It's been just a belt. It's literally been a belt you put around your waist that you just get paid more money for. But Cena really can re-innovate that like he did before, do the open challenges, all that stuff. So that's what, yeah, I agree with you definitely. He's going to come back, do that again. It's going to mean something. It's going to be great again. It really is. It's going to be awesome.
All right, and for the final news of the night, we're obviously not going to put that up, is Sasha Banks is basically going to be returning back to the ring, had a concussion, and there were comments saying from Vince McMahon that she's just like Daniel Bryan. I disagree, but before we go, be sure to hit that like button. And if you enjoy what you're listening to, hit that subscribe button. The way you never miss another show. Monday nights are the Monday Night Reviews. We go live every Monday. Thursday's next big thing. Saturdays is Keeping It Real with Blake and Kyle. Obviously, you're listening right now. And be sure to also follow us on Twitter. Twitter.com/Realist Podcast or at Realist Podcast. Facebook.com/The Realist Podcast. It's a lot easier just to search The Realist Podcast. For Kyle Lepore, I'm Blake Carter. And until next time, peace out. And, dude.